I know you only have a couple of minutes,
Sure.
so let's kind of jump right into things if you don't
Yeah,
mind me starting.
absolutely.
Yesterday, you appointed Dr. James Paul to the West Virginia Board of Education. That's your first appointee since taking office, and you cited a need for accountability and reform. What specific changes or shifts in policy do you hope that this appointment will help the board achieve?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's a great question. And first of all, I think Dr. Paul is an outstanding pick. He has deep expertise in education policy. He's been very involved in charter school issues in West Virginia. And so this is what he does every day. He thinks about how you can get the best outcomes at the most cost-effective price. And I think we need more of that. As many people know, there have been a lot of takeovers of school districts. This has been a big problem in West Virginia. And I think one thing we could do is probably get out in front of these issues a little bit better. The problem we have in West Virginia isn't the total amount of money that we're spending. We think the issue is that there could be better use of how the dollars are spent. Over the last 5 years alone, public schools have seen an increase of $270 million of new resources. I want to make sure as we're spending money that we're spending it wisely. And I think Dr. Paul is going to be really good in that because this is what he does for a living. And I think he's in a position to bring that added expertise so that when money is proposed to be spent, it's done in the most efficient way possible. The other point I would make is that West Virginia nationally is in the middle of the pack in terms of its spending per capita. And so, once again, I don't think it's a question of the aggregate dollars. It's how do we spend it more wisely? And I think we always need to ask that question so that taxpayers know that we're looking out for their monies and the monies that we're spending are being put in to help kids and help teachers.
Understood. Yesterday, I kind of wanted to get your reaction to this. Secretary of State Kris Warner declined to turn over that unredacted voter information to the U.S. Department of Justice. Did he make the right call doing that? What was your reaction whenever you learned that that was going to be his stance on this?
Yeah, so I haven't looked at all the details of his decision yet, so I want to do that before I speak fully. I obviously appreciate that you're always trying to protect privacy. That's important, but I haven't looked through the nature of the request and what his response was to be in a position to say definitively, this was right or not. And I'll do so, but I know we want to protect privacy. Obviously, I know the Trump administration cares deeply about election integrity, but I'll look into that and then I can be in a better position to get back because I wouldn't want to speak until I actually see his letter and his justification.
All right. You've talked a lot, obviously, this legislative session about economic development, jobs. Talk to me about, you think, where we are right now in your agenda with the session, how it's aligning with what's going on right now at the Capitol, and what are you hoping to see change from here on out, or what do you think that is on the right track so far?
Yeah, so one of the things we're trying to do is prioritize economic development, the creation of an environment that leads to high-paying jobs and addresses the affordability challenges that are out there. I think that there's going to be a good session. I'm optimistic about it. I'm very hopeful that we're going to get an across-the-board income tax. No better way to deal with affordability challenges and to help us be more competitive with the other states that we touch. But there are also other initiatives as well. We have an education package designed to improve reading comprehension and help with tutoring. And obviously, we have the full implementation of Hope Scholarship. We think that's going to be beneficial from an economic development perspective as well, because strong educational attainment is at the heart of any successful state economy. And then the other piece that we're really watching closely are a lot of the workforce provisions that are pending in the legislature. We have a series of initiatives designed to increase the number of plumbers and electricians and contractors and sheet metal workers and allow them to get credentials, which is going to help them obtain the jobs that they need to compete over the next 20 years. So we always have to focus on workforce retention and recruiting and training. And some of the things that we're working on, I think, could be very helpful in that regard. So we have a number of good packages that are out there The legislature has expressed interest in all of them, but obviously a lot comes down to the final 30 days. I'm working to meet with the legislature and members, individual members, as much as possible to try to make that happen. And I am cautiously optimistic we're going to get some big things done.
Kind of circling back with education, that's kind of what everyone is talking about right now. You said that you would consider increased education spending only if offsets are identified elsewhere in the budget.
Sure.
What areas of the current budget do you see as possible sources for those offsets?
Well, I want to work with the legislature on that because I know when we put our budget together, we didn't have the benefit of the school board giving us that request, which we would have factored in to the overall budget to analyze how many of those dollars are actually needed versus not. So first thing we're going to do is look at the nature of the request because there have been a lot of different proposals that are out there, some for small amounts of money, some for larger amounts of money. I know that I want to prioritize improvement in reading comprehension and helping on tutoring and helping improving math scores. Those are things that matter to me. So that's one set of dollars you look at. And then we, of course, want to look at the other initiatives. There's been some discussion about what's happening in Hancock County. We're having conversations about the best way to do that. We, of course, want to make sure that teachers continue to get paid, but we also want to make sure we avoid these kinds of problems from happening again in the future. So a lot of these are discussions with the legislature about how we could prioritize. It's just unfortunate that a lot of this information wasn't brought to the attention of the executive until now we're knee deep into the legislative session. So that makes it a little bit more complicated, but we're eager to work with people, but it is going to require offsets. We're not increasing taxes or spending more money overall. We're going to have to work within our means.
Sticking with the state school board, you've been heavily critical of members that are on the current Board of Education. You've now got your first appointment with Dr. Paul, but critics could argue that that could shift the board's direction philosophically. He has a background in charter schools and school choice advocacy. What do you say to those people? And what do you think of the current Board of Education and what needs, in your opinion, to change regarding the current
Listen,
makeup?
I think 9 year terms are too long. I don't think that provides the right amount of political accountability. So that's what I've been outspoken about. I think that this is my first pick, and I do want to shift the overall direction because I want to make sure that we're getting out in front of all these school takeovers. If there's anything we could do to avoid that, that's better. And if you can bring new blood in with new ideas and someone with great expertise, then ideally they can work in a collaborative manner with the board and we can improve efficiencies and help the spending go a little bit further and make sure that what's being spent is for the kids and for the teachers, right? So I think this is really positive because it is going to be a new direction and a direction that of someone who cares a lot about accountability, who cares about spending, who knows that the secret to educational attainment doesn't just lie in spending, but smart spending for our kids and helping our teachers. I think that's what he stands for. So I think he's going to be a breath of fresh air for the board, and I'm excited for his appointment and what he means to the future of the school board.
All right. Anything
I'm
else that you
sorry,
wanted to
Leslie. He's
add? I
got
know you're
another
probably
engagement.
needing to wrap up.
I think we've covered it.
All right. Well, Governor, have a great day and thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it.